Hello, this is Christopher, and welcome back to Quantum Worth Healing, the online course series. And this is for the online course, Personal and Spiritual Transformation. This is the first course in the series called Self-Assessment and the Law of Attraction. And this topic is topic 8, and there's a couple different assignments here. One's navigating fear, and then we're going to have a fear essay. And so what you can do is you either read the article, and we'll click on the article right now, or you can watch the video, which if you're watching it, I guess that's what you chose. And we're going to click on the article and we're going to read it together. That'll be the video. And so the assignment is, I'm going to tell you beforehand before we start reading so you have an idea. The first assignment is going to be purely based on this quote by Rumi. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I will meet you there. That's written by Rumi. Most people know who that is. If not, Google it and you'll get some really fantastic quotes and poems and writing. That's Rumi writes wonderful things. So the assignment is write a short essay describing what you think Rumi is talking about in this quote. This above quote, out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I will meet you there. Just very, it doesn't have to be long, just very briefly, just, what does it mean to you? And again, there's no real right or wrong answer. But trying to get into his mind, what's he thinking about? And keeping in mind that Rumi was not just a philosopher, but he was a poet as well. Okay, and then the next assignment, or the next piece of this topic or assignment, is to write another essay. And this one is going to be, it should be a little bit long, a little bit longer than short. I guess if it's not short, it's long. However, write it as long as you need to. You don't have to knock yourself out. It doesn't have to be a novel, or nor does it have to be a masterpiece. But what I'm really looking for is stuff from your heart. So after reading the article and or watching this particular video, you want to write an essay describing how a fear-based paradigm affects you and society as a whole. Use real-life issues currently happening in the world or at home. Within the article, describe. There's a typo there. Within the essay that you're writing, I'll correct that before you see it again. Within the article, or within the essay, describe how the issues you write about could be different if approached from a love-based paradigm. Okay, so none of that makes sense to you now, maybe, but we're going to talk about it in this video. So now we're going to go to the article. And again, bear with me, I seem to have a slow connection today, but at least there's pretty music to listen to. So I'm going to read the caption on the photo first, and this picture is actually of the Columbia River. And I took it, that's how come I know where it is. So, the Columbia River, for those of you that don't know, is the border between Washington State and Oregon State in the United States. Northwest region of the United States. The beauty of nature lives in each of us. Just open your eyes and truly see yourself and those around you. I think that's pretty self-evident. The more we are able to see clearly and open our eyes to the reality of the world, we'll see that we are truly beautiful and there is truly much beauty all around us. So we're going to read we're going to read the article. I know what you were thinking. Okay, so I have triggers and I have patterns and some of them are unhealthy. So now what and why does it matter? The main reason it matters is because anytime you have unhealthy patterns, you are living in a fear-based paradigm. Not a good place to be, but it is, unfortunately, where we are as a group consciousness. There are two main feelings or emotions, love and fear. Think of it like this. Love is on one end of the spectrum and fear is on the other end, and you fall somewhere between the two. If you are on a personal journey, a personal growth journey, you are hopefully moving closer to love. If you fall more on the love side of the spectrum, you are not only contributing to your own peacefulness, but you are contributing to the group consciousness. Everyone falls somewhere on this spectrum. If the majority falls on the fear side, then our group consciousness is more fear-based. I think it is evidently clear that our world today falls more on the fear-based side. However, each person who moves closer to love moves the entire group consciousness closer to love. When, and I say when because we are moving in that direction, the majority of people are on the love side of the spectrum, then our group consciousness will reflect love more than fear in every aspect of our existence. Unhealthy patterns keep us from moving forward toward love and bog us down in fear. Your unhealthy patterns can be changed through a healing process like Quantum Earth Healing. You can make a difference in your own life and feel the warmth of peace, love, and empathy, and you can make a difference in the collective consciousness. Once our collective consciousness is further on the love side than on the fear side of the spectrum, equality, empathy, love, hope, and compassion will become the motivation behind most decisions made by individuals, companies, governments, and groups. As we move closer and closer to love, so does peace move deeper and deeper into our existence. So we're going to take a moment and we're going to really think about this last paragraph and how it is. First of all, let's look at society as a whole right now. And when we say that society is really in a fear-based paradigm, the collective consciousness, is really our society is set up and we live in a fear-based paradigm. And examples of that are, anytime we look at something or someone or another society or another social group that's different from ours, and we have fear creeping in because of the differences, that's a those are fear-based decisions, fear-based thoughts. And the reality is that we are all interconnected, and that's been proven now through quantum physics. So the fear or the difference itself is actually just an illusion. The differences are actually very subtle. The reality is we're much more alike than we are different, all people. And for that matter, much of the life on Earth, we're very similar. Even to the animals. The animals there's been studies done actually that shows the animals, most animals, mammals, I should say mammals, use cooperation more than anything else, and that applies even to many insects. Honeybees, ants, they're all very cooperative. So human beings are by nature, we are cooperative. However, because we are in this fear-based paradigm, we live and we make fear-based choices, we tend to move towards aggressiveness and competition rather than cooperation. And this can be seen in many, many different areas all throughout the world. Where anywhere where there's inequality, there's fear. There's fear. Anywhere there's blame, there's fear. Anywhere there is war, there's fear. So we want to move away from that as a group. But the way to do that is really through each individual. So we want to do that on an individual basis first. So each of us, as we move closer to the love-based side of the paradigm, the scale, and we get it tipping in the right direction where it's supposed to be, we will actually be affecting the entire collective consciousness. We've all heard everybody say, or we've all heard many people say, I've heard it, I don't know, thousands of times, what can I do? I'm only one person. Well, what you can do is to take care of you. By take care of you, you're not only influencing the collective consciousness, but you're also modeling for anyone who is affected by your modeling, and that could be your children, your friends, your family. And as we talked about earlier, modeling is an extremely powerful form of teaching. So what is the difference between love and fear? Well, love-based consciousness will be more based in love. So when they see something that's different, they see, let's just say they see a social group that's different. So rather than fear being the first thought process or their first knee-jerk reaction, well, they're different, I must be afraid of them. We can think, wow, they do things a little bit different, and I accept them for who they are, and see them as a human being, and see them as something precious, alive, and as equal. So that would be more of a love-based consciousness. And as you move through the healing process, it's an automatic thing. You move into the love-based paradigm, whether you want to or not. And you'll want to, and when you're there, you're not going to ever want to go back. Believe me, it's a much nicer existence to live through love than it is to live through fear. And love comes from the heart, and love involves compassion and empathy and kindness. And fear involves, hate, war, aggression. So that's, even if you think that some people enjoy that, believe me, they're not enjoying it. They're in pain. And that's the other side of the fear-based paradigm. It's also a reflection of pain, whether it's a pain on the collective consciousness or if it's pain on an individual level. Because fear is painful. Think about it, it's painful. And I'm not talking about the fear of, falling in a river if you're walking across a wiggly bridge. That's a totally different matter. But I'm talking about the fear of the unknown, the fear of people, the fear of things, just simply because we don't understand. Okay, so hopefully that's been enough and you'll be able to write your essay. So we're going to go back to the course, and to get to the place to actually submit your essay, you'll click here, Navigating Fear. This is going to take you to the essay for writing, the short essay for writing about the Rumi quote. And we'll just quickly go through it because I don't think I've given any essay assignments yet. And again, apologize for the slow connection here. I'm not sure what's going on today. But again, there's pretty music to listen to, if I ever be quiet, which may or may not happen. Okay, here we go. So once you're here, and you can come here right away actually, if you just go down and then add submission, just click the add submission button, and when it finally comes up, then you will see, boy, okay, so here we go. So you can either write right inside of here. When it finally loads up, you'll see you can write your whole assignment right here if you want to, or you can write it on a Word document or some other document and simply add here. That'll give you the choice to upload an attachment, or okay, let me see here. So it'll take you to here, then you can click browse, and most of you know how to upload an attachment, and then upload this file, and then we can, you can upload a Word file right onto here. Okay, so I thought you would be able to write right into the box, but apparently not. So you'll have to do this on a Word document or some sort of document, and then just upload it into here, and then we'll be able to access it from here. Okay, so we're going to go back, and then you'll be able to do the same thing from, you know, on the other essay as well, and it's going to be a significantly longer essay, and I want to just talk about it one more time before I end this video. Okay, looks like I'm going to have to go all the way back. Bear with me, listen to the music. Alright, so here we are again. Now we need to scroll back down to topic 8. La-di-da, la-di-da. Okay, so here's the other essay, the fear essay. Now, after reading and watching the video, write an essay describing how fear-based paradigm affects you and society as a whole. And we just talked about that. Do a little bit more research, read some articles, you know, look for some. And I would encourage you to look for some more liberal writings as well, not just the, you know, not just Fox or CBS or whatever, but look for some that, you know, claim to write about things that nobody else reads, and so it'll give you a more of a broader look at things. And remember that usually the truth is somewhere in the middle. So as you're writing that, you're going to want to use real life issues that are actually happening in the world. And you know, right now I can think of one right offhand, and it's the North Korean missile crisis, or not missile crisis, but the North Koreans threatening to warmonger on either South Korea or even the United States. And again, anytime you read any kind of news like that, it's really important to remember that propaganda plays a big part in all countries. And propaganda, for those of you who don't know what it means, is basically lies to influence people's sentiments. So who really knows what's going on over there? But regardless of what is going on, what is happening is there's a fear-based mentality at work. And if the truth is that North Korea is wanting to fire upon the United States or South Korea, you know, they want to do it because they perceive us or South Korea as a threat to something that they hold a value of. So rather than accepting everyone and accepting the United States for who they are and accepting South Korea for who they are, they want to destroy them, which is quite often the path of fear that leads you there. Usually it leads into war or hate or some other form of unattractive living or thinking. And then if if it is purely propaganda, and the United States is staging it, maybe with the help of South Korea, to get the public sentiment in the United States to go against North Korea, it's still the same thing. It's still based on fear. It's still a fear-based mentality, a fear-based paradigm at work. And again, it would just be the flip side, which is interesting because that's usually how it works. Either or party is right or wrong. The issues are typically the same. We fear North Korea. Why? Because they're different. Because they have a different way of doing things. They do things that we don't like. And rather than accepting that this is how they want, this is how they choose. And then maybe, there's nothing wrong with encouraging equality, nothing wrong with encouraging civil rights and those things. And in fact, there's nothing wrong with natural consequences for those that do tread on equality and tread on civil rights. But with the United States and North Korea, the United States is really no better than North Korea in that way. We tread on the civil rights and civil liberties of other countries and citizens all over the world. and the equality of other people all over the world. So we're not really that much better, although we might, we might act better here at home, but abroad we tend to forget who we are, and we set aside our values and do some pretty horrendous things, or allow our leaders to do horrendous things. So anyway, read the articles, and I would encourage you to read the article a couple times. And there's more articles along the same lines. There's usually a series of articles within any subject matter. And so write your essay, and this one's going to be, I want you to really put some thought into this. And, this is going to give you kind of an idea of what we want to get away from. And then put some thought into how could, what would it be, how would it be if it was approached from a love-based paradigm? So we can use the North Korean example again. And let's just say we're afraid of North Korea, and we're trying to do something because we fear something about them. A love-based paradigm, we would come in with a very, with a heart. We would try to approach her with an open heart, with empathy and compassion. And again, that doesn't mean condoning behaviors that are immoral or unethical, or it doesn't mean condoning inequality. It doesn't mean condoning anything that they may be doing. But what it does mean is accepting that that's where they are right now. It's where they are, and that's going to go much further than telling them they're wrong and they're bad. Is to accept and let them know that we value them as human beings. And when they make choices that we don't like, we can let them know in a compassionate way that we don't, we value who you are. We value you as a society and as a people, but we don't agree with inequality. We believe in equality. We can very firmly let them know what we believe and what we don't believe. We don't have to come at them with this big stick and say we want you to practice equality, and if you don't, this is what's going to happen. No one really reacts very well to that. Nobody. I don't. Probably you don't. Nobody likes it. So it's much better to come from a love-based paradigm. Alright, so any questions, as usual, shoot me an email at Christopher@quantumworthhealing.com, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Goodbye now.